I'm Michael Drives, and this is the 2024 Mazda CX-90 PHEV Premium Plus in Rhodium White Premium. The CX-90 replaces the CX-9, and it's larger in every dimension. This car, with its plug-in hybrid powertrain, is good for 323 horsepower and 369 feet of torque on premium fuel. Now, being a plug-in hybrid, it's going to move you along in electric mode for 26 miles, give or take. This Premium Plus is the top trim, and it stickers for $58,920. Now, the only option on this car is the $595 Rhodium White Premium paint. The CX-90 has received a Top Safety Pick Plus from the IIHS, or the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, and it's not yet been tested by NHTSA, so we don't have safety ratings from them yet. Competing three-row SUVs that are plug-in hybrids in this category would include the Mitsubishi Outlander, or the Lincoln Aviator, a Sorento PHEV, and the Volvo XC90 plug-in hybrid. CX-90 comes in three trims: Preferred, Premium, and this Premium Plus. Now, this is a $58,000 car as it stickers, including destination. However, you can step into this car at $42,000 with the plug-in hybrid powertrain. The PHEV sits in the middle of the powertrain range for CX-90. Just below it, you have a turbo inline six, and then you have the PHEV, and then you have another turbo, a higher output turbo up on top. But we're gonna focus today on the plug-in hybrid and its attributes. This car will charge from 20 to 80% on a level 2 charger in an hour and a half, and if you're using a level 1 charger, just under 7 hours. And because this is a plug-in hybrid, it's going to run off the electric battery until the battery reaches down to about 20%, and then it's going to operate as a traditional hybrid. Let's take a quick look at the design of this car. I love this elongated hood. It has definitely some presence to it. And one of the nice things is you don't have this sort of testosterone-laden anger grille that so many SUVs have. This is graceful and sporty without being mad at the world. And I really appreciate that. It's definitely bold. It has very good, presence. It has good width, but it's not something that looks like it wants to mow everything down in its path. Stepping around to the side, you see these very large 21-inch wheels. This is the largest wheel that you can get, and it comes standard in the Premium Plus trim. The only thing that indicates that this is the plug-in hybrid, unless you know where the charge port is this PHEV badge right here on this sort of graceful emblem right in front of the driver's side mirror. And then on the side, you just have Mazda's typical sculpted design, which looks really sharp. Let's step around to the back, and I want to take a look at the cargo space. Back here at the cargo space, there is another badge that says eSkyActiv PHEV, and that does indicate, again, that it's a plug-in hybrid, but it's a really small, subtle badge here. So I'm going to attempt to use the hands-free tailgate, and that worked fantastically. Now, this is height adjustable, so if you're someone of a shorter stature and you can't always reach up, and I'm a little bit on a hill, so this is exaggerating my height greatly, but you can still reach the buttons. You can adjust this, and this may actually not be its fullest height. I did not adjust this beforehand. You'll notice the cargo area back here. I've got my trusty backpack. With that third row pushed down, you're going to get 40 cubic feet of storage space, which is pretty significant. If you do fold the third row and the second row down, you're going to actually get 74.2 cubic feet of storage space. And now we're talking. Again, this is bigger than the CX-9 that it replaces in almost every dimension, in actually every dimension. You do have these nice straps here that you can pull, and it flips the headrest down, and you just give it a push, and that's going to drop that down. A couple other nice features that you have back here. You have a power outlet here that's good for 150 watts, so you can plug in a laptop or something that consumes a little bit less power, and of course your normal cigarette lighter style 12-volt accessory. And then on the other side here, you have a 1500 watt outlet, and that's going to provide a heck of a lot more power. So if you need to charge an electric bike or run a whole suite of laptops, you can do that here if you're at a campsite. It's just one of the benefits of having the plug-in hybrid, and it's on this trim. Since we're at the back of the car, let's talk about towing capacity. The plug-in hybrid actually has 3,500 pounds when properly equipped to tow whatever you need. Now, I kind of joke that this being the biggest Mazda that's come to our shores, this is built in Japan, that it could actually fit a Miata in the back of it, but it won't. However, you can tow a Miata because a Miata weighs under 2,500 pounds. So if that's on a flatbed trailer, you can definitely tow that Miata or any, some personal watercraft or something with this vehicle. And now that that's closed, let's spin around and take a look under the hood. Under the hood of CX-90, there's not too much to see. You do have this longitudinal 4-cylinder engine, and this is important for this car because it allows the front wheels, because they're, instead of an engine that goes from left to right, this goes from front to back and with the 4 cylinders. So it's narrower, which allows the front wheels not only to turn a bit more, so you have a better turning radius, but it actually allows more room for Mazda engineers to put a front suspension in that's a bit longer, and so you have a bit finer control and better handling because of that. But there's not too much to see under here because there's a big plastic cover, so we're going to spin around to the other side and take a look at the charging port. At the back of the CX-90 now, at the right side on this passenger side, this is where we have the level 2 charging port and level 1, or we'll just call it a charging port. It's locked right now, so I have to spin around to the front of the car, unlock it by touching the front door handle, and now I can tap that and open it. So now you see that we have a charging port. One nice touch is, while there is this annoying kind of plug in the J1772 charging port, there's a great little hook here that's very obvious, and you can hang that silly little thing so it's not dangling down. Again, you can use your level 1 or level 2 charger here, and down here you can kind of see that there's a little plug where there'd be a CCS combo charger available to fit in there. I don't know if they just use an off-the-shelf part, but there is no level 3 charging because this is a plug-in hybrid, and you've got something around 490 miles of range when you have the electric and gas combined. Quick note on the fuel efficiency: if you start the car with a full battery and you drive 100 miles, you'll get 56 miles per gallon equivalent. However, to achieve that for the next 100 miles, you would have to stop and charge and get a full battery. Now, you don't have to do that, but that's what that 56 mpge is based on, that first 100 miles. If you start out with a depleted battery, say it's down to 20%, you haven't charged overnight, you're going to get 25 miles per gallon combined. Now that this has magically shut itself, let's take a look at the interior. Welcome to the interior of the CX-90. You'll notice this very sharp black Napa leather that the interior is decked out in. It's very businesslike. This Premium Plus trim is also available in a bright white interior leather. That would be my preference just because I like a cooler interior when I'm stepping into it. It also makes it feel a little bit more spacious in my opinion. Really gorgeous design in here. I love this sort of contrast stitching. Very sharp. It's like a fine tailored suit. I have no complaints about the interior whatsoever. Really great design. 12-speaker Bose stereo in this Premium Plus trim. Really nice feature, and a moonroof that opens, which is of course something I love if you've watched my past videos. Really nice layout here with the HVAC controls because they're physical buttons and you're not having to go through screens whether or not you want to change the temperature of the interior. The passenger side has their own, of course, separate. There's 3 zones here. There's passenger, driver, and then your rear zones. But you can change everything, including the steering wheel, if you want the heat on, or the heated seats or cooled seats. This trim being Premium Plus has the cooled seats. You can control it all right here without going through any screens. And speaking of this screen up here, 12.3-inch screen here, and we've got a 12.3-inch display behind the steering wheel for the instrument cluster. Really sharp and crisp. Now, this is not normally a touch screen. Everything is controlled here through this knob. However, you can use the touch screen. It does become a touch screen when you're using Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and those are both wireless in this trim. In fact, speaking of wireless, you've got a wireless charger down here, and you have 2 USB-C ports available in this car, and those are tucked away down in there's the little buttons, center console. So, one of the things I love about Mazdas is your hand as the driver, pretend I'm in the driver's seat, falls naturally right here, and that's where the volume knob is. That's first of all, it's where you can control the infotainment system, but also that's where your volume knob is, which is just really nice. First time I stepped into this car, little strange. So you've got your shifter here, and you've got reverse, neutral, drive, and park is on the far left. Well, if you're just kind of used to a normal car and you go to put it into park and you're about to walk away, I started to go backwards because I was in reverse and not park. Park is up and over to the left. Just something you'll quickly get used to as an owner of the vehicle, but something that caught me a little bit off guard I wasn't used to. I love the graphics of the screen up here, and it's really crisp and modern, really sharp. However, when you're scrolling through the info button, there's a very tiny little window where the information changes, and that's the only sort of customizable section as you're going through and looking at your various options there. One of the things Mazda does have available on the CX-90 is a sort of driver personalization system where it recognizes, based on what you set this up at the beginning, and you put in your height and you're setting yourself up with a profile, and then it can remember who you are by facial recognition, and it will adjust the mirrors and the seat according to your height and your preferences, and also 250 other preferences, such as, you know, your radio stations, your temperature preferences, anything else that are, you know, settings that can be changed in the car. That's going to save with your profile. Let's take a look at the back seat and see what we have back there. Welcome to the second row. You'll notice that this does have captain's chairs in the back here, and so there is a sort of a little pathway through here. You can set items down, or there's a nice little flip up cup holder that you can use or set some snacks on. Kind of handy. One of the things that you'll see back here in this trim level are window shades, and that's on both sides for the second row. Again, we're still covered here with glass, which is nice when the moonroof is open, so you can get a little light in and not feel, you know, kind of claustrophobic, which, you know, kind of what the third row is for. Down here, you've got a full suite of, you know, heated second row seats in this car. Again, this has the 7-passenger configuration, and you have 2 more USB-C ports. So very modern connectivity and charging for your devices. You're not going to be stuck with USB-A ports in the back. Pretty comfortable seats. One of the things I want to mention that I didn't when I was in the front is the seats are a little, I would say, hard on the bottom. They're a little bit stiffer than I would normally like, and you'll see this on the drive, but the front seats, the side bolstering, they're pretty wide. They're generous size seat. I wanted a little bit more cradling, but I didn't get that, so I adjusted my driving accordingly. Nice seat back pockets here, and of course your full HVAC controls for the second row. That is your third zone. So now that we've taken a nice look from back here, let's take a gander at the third row. But before I do that, I just want to show you how to fold these seats down in case you ever need to. I might be able to do it from this side, and we'll see if this makes sense. But there's a little handle on the back here. You can probably see it on the seat in closer to you, but you're just going to pull this forward and then slide the seat like that, and then at that point you can get into the third row. Here we are in the third row. I'm 5'9". I still have a bit of leg room. I did not move the front seat, or the second row seat. I only pushed it back. So it's tight in here. My knees are up because this is pretty low. However, it's doable. Would I want to be back here for a long trip? Probably not. I prefer the second row captain's chairs or the front of the car. But you do have, you're not forgotten in the third row of the CX-90, because you do have, again, 2 more USB-C ports, 1 on each side, so those passengers can plug in and tune out. And you do have rear air conditioning vents, which is really nice, because if you've ever been in the third row of a vehicle that does not have, or in the back of one of those, 15 passenger vans, and you're just kind of, suffocating, it's really nice to have these, and I'm glad Mazda thought about the third row passengers as much as the second and front rows. You've got a couple tie down points down here, and you do have generous cup holders, 2 on the right side, 2 on the left side. I'm excited to crawl out of here. Let's take this Mazda's biggest Mazda for a spin and see how it does on the road. So now that we're behind the wheel of the CX-90, one of the first things you'll notice, especially if you're used to an electric car, is that the electric motor, when it's in EV mode, it actually shifts. Now, this is just Mazda being Mazda and wanting to do things a little differently, but the motor is connected to the engine, and it is in front of the transmission. So what happens is, instead of the motor providing the power, the gasoline motor, the electric motor will provide the power and then run through all 8 gears, because this is an 8-speed automatic transmission. So you'll feel, when leaving from a stop, the car actually shifts gears with the electric motor on only, not something that you would expect in an electrified car. It's a little different, and I'm sure it has its advantages, but it just rings a little strange to feel a car shifting when an electric motor technically doesn't need to shift. Most EVs are connected to a one-speed transmission, which means it doesn't change gears. It just stays at that single ratio, and there's never any shifting. While this drives like a Mazda, it drives like a very big Mazda. So at no point are you thinking that you're in a Miata in any way. Now, this is all-wheel drive, and as you start to get up to speed, you really start to feel that Mazda DNA kicking into action. You feel like you're in a car that wants to drive, and you know, when you get down on the accelerator, it doesn't disappoint, and you get this fantastic miles per gallon and regen that you don't have in a non-PHEV. And there are two levels of regen. I can have very mild regen, or I can kind of have normal. I forget what Mazda calls it. But you're in all electric so long as you have enough battery charge, and I've got a full charge here on the total EPA estimated 26 miles, or Mazda estimated. But if you kick the accelerator all the way down, you will kick in the gasoline engine, and that four-cylinder, you heard it right there. It takes a few seconds, so I'm going to say hit, and at that point, I'm going to hit the accelerator. So 3, 2, 1, hit. Okay, there's not much of a delay there. It really hops in. It makes a nice noise, confident, inspiring, and it doesn't throw you back like you're in a pure EV, but it does accelerate, and I think it will get the job done. Just don't expect your head to fly back into the seat and for, you know, amazing grins and giggles to happen. But in steady driving, you know, besides, you know, 0 to 60 and impressing your friends, I think you're just going to be fine. While the CX-90 does come in two different engines, you can have your inline six with various levels of turbocharging, or you can have this plug-in hybrid, and I think this is the way to go. It's going to just save you, I think, a good bit of money in gas, and if you're plugging in, if you can charge at home, and that's going to be key to owning a plug-in hybrid vehicle. It just doesn't make sense if you can't always charge at home, where you can level 1 or level 2 charge. In fact, most plug-in hybrid electric vehicles, including this one, do not actually have level 3 charging because it doesn't make sense. You know, you're going to be at a level 3 charger for like 5 minutes and then be on the road. But the idea of a plug-in hybrid is that you charge at home and you're always ready to go for that, you know, 26 miles or longer that you're going to do. So I am back in some lovely DC area stop and go traffic, so we're just going to merge over here. Really love the blind spot monitoring. It works really well in this car. I like it when it's in the mirror because that's where you're going to be looking in the first place. So right at first glance, you know if that orange triangle is in there, you're not going to merge. If I do turn off the cruise control and then I go into sport mode, you know, the graphics change on the dash, and, you know, swirls of red happen around the gauges, and I can really feel it. It does have some nice pickup. I mean, this is no slug whatsoever. So don't think because it's a 4-cylinder with an electric assist, this is no eco cruiser. I mean, you get better miles per gallon by far, but when you need to put down the power, you can absolutely do it. I love the infotainment touchscreen. Now, it's interestingly only a touchscreen when you're using Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. When you're using the normal Mazda system, you're going to use the controller knob down here and not have to reach up. But they don't keep you from using it as a touchscreen. It's nice, you know, I have a car where it is not a touchscreen whatsoever, and you have to use the control knob. I like that Mazda gives you this option, and it works really well. And the display is huge. I have maps right now on in Apple CarPlay, and it's just enormous, easy to see. Really, I could see it from the third row if I wanted to, and I don't even have my glasses on. I have my sunglasses on. Right now, because we're in stop and go, and it's a beautiful day, 70 degrees, I'm going to open the very large sunroof, and that just feels great. I love that it can open. That's as far as it goes. I'm not sure if you can see it in this view. So you can open it, which is great. It only opens about 6 or 8 inches. But hey, I will take that over a glass roof that does not open any day. I'm just gonna close that because now I realize it's a little loud outside. When you're in EV mode and you're pulling away from a stop is that the motor makes a very funky noise. I haven't quite nailed down exactly what it is. I think it's the drive motor, but see if you can listen. And when you come to a stop, and when you go, and when you stop, it's not something that most electric cars do. I mean, nothing is ever perfectly silent, but it just sounds a little peculiar. Other than that, it's not annoying. And if you have any air conditioning on and music on or anything like that, you're never really going to notice it whatsoever. So it just might be a Michael thing, and there are Michael things. But get going, and there we go. Again, that's a noise that I do expect when I smash the pedal down to the floor. Not that other quiet, like, electric noise. Anyways, tell me what you think in the comments. And now it's time for my fabulous favorites and not so favorites about the CX-90. Fabulous favorite number one is the design. Both inside and out, it's cohesive, it's modern and sporty, and just has a good sense of purpose. I really like that. My second fabulous favorite is the handling. Because this is a Mazda, when you're on the open road or even stuck on a highway and you need to change lanes, it has a serious planted feel to the car. Again, you have this rear biased all-wheel drive, which means it's going to drive the rear wheels most of the time. And if there's slippage, it's going to engage the front wheels through a mechanical linkage, a little bit different than other plug-in hybrids, which will power the front wheels and then use electric motors to power the rear ones in case there's slippage. This is rear biased, so it feels like and it is a rear-wheel drive car until, conditions warrant otherwise. My third fabulous favorite, I love the balance of physical controls. You can operate the HVAC, heated seat, heated steering wheel without going into any menus in the screen, which is really nice. And now for my not so favorites. That sort of stop and go, herky-jerky, pure EV driving is not what I would expect with a plug-in hybrid powertrain. My second not so favorite, those 21-inch wheels, wow, of course they look great. They're 21-inch wheels. So in this vehicle, more than ever, because it's tuned a bit more sporty, it drives like a Mazda, on the open road. However, going over potholes and rough surfaces, you really feel it with the 21-inch wheels. And this is the top level trim, but you don't have the most luxurious ride that you're actually going to get with smaller wheels if you move down to 20s, which are available in lower trims. Third not so favorite, that EV range. It's 26 miles, but competitors can do a little bit better. So I would say, Mazda, how about let's double that, and now we're really talking. That brings our review of CX-90 to a close. So thank you for watching and making it this far. Please like this video and subscribe. That allows me to do more videos in the future. And plus, give me your comments, give me your feedback. Tell me what you would like to see in a future review or what you don't like. If it's my humor, sorry, you're stuck with that. But there's a lot of things I can change, and I want to make these better for you. So thank you again. Have a great day. Tell someone you love them. Speaking of this screen up here, this is I'm going to turn the power on. There's going to be some chimes and some dings. 12.3 inch screen here for the touchscreen infotainment. Oh, I hope that stops. There we go.